Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 875 of the Juicebox Podcast. On today's episode, I'll be speaking with the mother of a child with type 1 diabetes. Her name is Elle, and Elle was not good at getting her equipment set up. I'm not going to lie about that. This just gets ridiculous and I mean funnier and funnier as it goes along, but nevertheless, while you're listening to it, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. If you're a U.S. resident who has type 1 or is the caregiver of someone with type 1, please go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox and complete the survey. That's all I'm asking you to do. In exchange for that, if you want to get some super cozy jammies or bedspreads, sheets, towels, pajamas, CozyEarth.com. At checkout, use Juicebox to save 35% on your entire order. CozyEarth.com. There, see, fill out the survey for me, and then go get yourself some 35% off jammers. Although I would get these joggers if I was you. They're so soft. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Omnipod 5. Learn more about the tubeless insulin pump and how it works with the Dexcom G6 at omnipod.com/juicebox. Get yourself an Omnipod 5. Podcast is sponsored today by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service and is 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. BetterHelp.com/juicebox. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. And when you use my link, you'll save 10% on your first month of therapy. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. Talk to them however you feel comfortable. Text, chat, phone, or video call. If your therapist isn't the right fit, for any reason at all, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. And the best part for me is that with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you. And you're going to get more scheduling flexibility and a more affordable price. I myself have just begun using BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/juicebox. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/juicebox. Save 10% on your first month of therapy. Don't start looking behind you because you're gonna look away from where the microphone is.
Okay.
All right.
I can do that.
Okay. Okay, hold on, give me a second.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm tired now. It's over. All right. So you're being recorded so that you know.
Okay.
I am a little lightheaded. Give me a second. Forever. It's 20 minutes. That was like the longest one maybe ever. Or at least in recent history. It's okay. I think what'll happen is later today, you'll just realize there's a switch on the headset that turns the microphone on or something like that.
Like, I've been looking around. It's not mine.
Is there a switch on the wire?
There is a volume control on the wire.
Have you tried turning it to see what would happen?
I have. I've gone all the way down and I've gone all the way up. It just makes you quieter or louder.
Okay, good. Well, let's get that adjusted to where you want it.
Yep.
Perfect.
Up all the way.
All right. Introduce yourself so we can start talking.
My name is Elle, and I have technical difficulties. I have 4 children, and one of them is type 1. He's my oldest.
All right. Let me just make a suggestion to everybody. Have less children or fewer children, and then you can afford a Mac. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, my husband would never allow.
Yeah. God forbid stuff would work. And so,
right. It doesn't make sense to my brain. I will say that the Apple system, I cannot, if you thought that I had technical difficulties with this, you would just hang up on me if we were trying to figure it out on Apple because I just don't
let me tell you what
understand
would happen if you had an Apple. You would have turned it on, it would have worked, and that would have been the end of it. There wouldn't have been anything for you to understand. You know what I mean?
But I probably wouldn't figure out how to listen to the podcast. So I don't know.
I think you would. I definitely think you would. I'm sticking with what I initially said. Have fewer children, buy a Mac. Okay. I know sometimes you go out, there's like these tablets are $89 and these PCs are $400. Like, oh, $400. Just.
Well, I don't really use my PC a whole lot. If you couldn't guess that. I do use my phone a lot. I don't know what my phone's problem was today, but honestly, technology in general just hates me. I have wanted to take my printer out and beat it with a baseball bat in my backyard so many times.
We absolutely should have recorded the last 20 minutes, and I should have just put it at the end of the episode and just let it run. Just my two favorite parts were
it.
You kept referring to the computer as it, but you weren't referring to the computer. You were referring to the sentient decision making that was happening in front of you as it. You're like,
what
it's doing this.
I call it? What else do you call it? What would you call it?
Well, I mean, do you want to go over this real quick?
No.
Okay. I tell me how old you are.
I am 36.
This is the closest I've come to speaking to my mom about technology.
I have been, okay, so I signed up to be here 7 months ago, and every week I have woken up and gone, my computer's not going to work.
Oh, you were right. So,
I'm telling you.
At least you're not paranoid.
At least
you're not paranoid. My mom, when something would go wrong with her computer, she goes, "Come on, guys." And finally one day I was like, "Mom, who are the guys? who are the guys we're talking about? The computer." I was like, "Well, who are you talking to?" And you're like, "It's doing this," and I'm like, "I don't know what it is." And then my biggest laugh I didn't actually tell you about was in the chat while we were trying to figure out why it didn't work. You're like, "This was my biggest fear."
It was. And see, like, that's why.
I don't have an exact number, Elle, but I'm going to guess. That I record about, let me make like an educated guess here. Hold on a second. I'll do this.
Oh, don't tell me.
Weeks in the year.
Just say I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Get it over with.
I'm going to say that I record over 200 times a year. And there are only technical difficulties about 3 times. I don't think they've ever gone on for 20 minutes before, though.
I win, as always.
Because here's what I feel like happened. I feel like you gave up.
I didn't, though. I was walking up the stairs with confidence on my phone with my battery pack, ready to go lock myself in the bedroom. And I'm like, it's going to work. And I said, testing, and nothing.
Maybe you didn't give up with effort, but I feel like you gave up in your heart. I feel like there was a moment where you were like, I knew this wasn't going to work and I'm not recording this podcast. Did that happen?
I sent a message to my friends before I started. Please wish all the blessings on my technology today.
All right.
Because they know that this is my life. I'm cursed when it comes to technology.
I'm going to assume it's not you. And I'm going to tell you, just keep squirreling away money. Get yourself a MacBook. Everything's going to be fine, okay? All right. So, I'm sorry. You got a kid with diabetes, did you say?
I do.
Okay.
I have one of those. Yeah. He is 12.
Okay. And you have 4 kids, though, in total.
Yes.
How'd you figure that out?
Well, we figured out how it works. Don't need a computer for that.
No technology for that, right? I'll tell you, if you needed a computer to have a baby, you'd be living with a cat.
I have one of those too.
Okay. All right, so hold on. So the 12-year-old's got type 1,
yes.
And I don't need all the other particulars, but what are the ages of the other kids, just so I can make fun of your reproductive health and stuff like that later?
9, 6, and 2.
9, 6, 2. And you're 36. 36. You married?
I've been married for almost 16 years.
Since you were 20.
I was 19.
Oh, well.
He was 20 by a couple days.
Hold on a second, Elle. I don't care that your kid has diabetes as much anymore.
Hey, and none of those were in there. None of them attended my wedding, just so you know.
No, I'm doing the math.
It's all by choice.
That's not what I'm saying. I want to know how you end up married at 19. Were you escaping the law?
No.
What were you running from, Elle? Tell me right now. You don't have to tell him. He thinks you love him. But what were you running from?
I wasn't running from anything.
Okay.
I promise. Like, we chose to get married. We wanted to get married. And a lot of people tried to talk us out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I
married people? Wrong. Were those married people trying to talk you out of it?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah. It's because they've been married. Okay, so all right, so wow, that's amazing. Like, were you in college or fresh out of high school, or what was the situation?
We got engaged the week before. Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. You have a dog too after all this with the microphone.
Yes.
You're not allowed to have a dog and a microphone. That doesn't work. You have to pick one. That dog sounds like it just ran for its life and its little feet wouldn't catch on to anything. Is that what happened?
Well, she's a corgi.
Oh.
So she is short. And she doesn't have much to catch on to around here. But she was chasing a cat. So.
All right. Let's keep talking to see if we can find a good decision in your life.
Hey, the corgi is a good decision. Just saying.
Isn't that the Queen's dog?
She helps me sleep. Yes.
How the hell does she help? Oh, are you going to say something creepy?
How old is the Queen?
How does she make you? No. How does the dog help you sleep?
She will tell me if someone's here. She will tell me if there is something wrong in the world.
Oh, okay.
Corgis are very specific about who they let in their house and how the broom is put away.
So this dog stands in for your anxiety?
Yeah.
Look at me figuring this
She's
out.
my second corgi. My first corgi
died from anxiety.
My first corgi I got when my oldest son was 2.
Oh, how long did they live?
Usually around 15 years. But,
okay.
She died when she was 8.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was unexpected, I imagine, at 8.
Yes, very.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we had a person come to our house and make threats one night in the middle of the night. And after some counseling, I decided to get a dog.
Elle, how old were you when this happened? And if you're going to tell me serious stuff, don't let me joke about it first.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. So
I mean, she's a dog. So like there's good and, scary things that, I mean, she's still a companion.
But I want to start.
And she's not like registered or anything. She just helps me.
You mean like
sleep.
a ninja or something like that?
No, there was a situation where someone thought my husband was someone else and came and made threats to us, and I didn't sleep pretty much the last half of 2011.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So someone just shows up at your house with a mistaken identity situation?
Oh, okay.
You don't have to tell. Do you want to not tell me?
I can tell you. It's just kind of a long story. My husband had a coworker that purchased a gun from him. And then he used it on himself intentionally. And his brother thought that my husband had somehow convinced him to use it or was a drug dealer or something. And he came to our house and we were sleeping. So like we did not hear texts or calls, but evidently he sat outside my house for hours texting my husband that he was going to harm us. And then when we woke up at like 3 a.m, we were like, what?
And was he still outside?
He was not outside when we woke up and got the messages.
Okay. All right.
So he was a grieving brother.
Right.
But,
and you live in Texas?
No.
No?
I live in Iowa.
Oh, I wasn't sure how many other states you could just like sell a gun like that. Because I know in Texas.
Well, this was back in 2011.
Okay.
So things were a smidge different.
Mm-hmm.
But.
Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Had you been an anxious person prior to that?
I've always been an anxious person. I remember waking up for kindergarten and feeling nauseous.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, have you done anything about it as an adult?
So for the last, 13 years, I kind of feel like my body is not my own since I've been pregnant or nursing for the last 13 years.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so medications and pregnancy and nursing don't always mix well.
So you would do something if you weren't so busy pumping these kids out. Is that about right?
I mean, the dog worked for a while.
The dog worked for a while. Such a strong title for the episode. Keep talking, Elle.
And I mean, it's still like if I leave her at the kennel or whatever it's called, when you like I go out of town and I don't get back in time to pick her up, I have a hard time sleeping sometimes.
Wow. Okay. Does this have been passed on to any of your kids? You see any anxiety with the kids?
Well, that plays a pretty big part in my son's diagnosis story.
Go ahead.
So in, I'm going to say March 2020, which is all, everybody knows what that is. We, can't play with our friends. We can't go to the park and meet up with people. We can't do any of the activities that we'd been doing. So my son starts talking about how he can't sleep at night. And like, he thinks he has heartburn. He thinks he has upset stomach. Mm-hmm. And at one point between there and diagnosis, he came down. He's like, I can feel my heart beating. And we just thought that he had anxiety.
Okay.
He's a very extroverted kid. And we had just moved to our current house just from across town, but there were no kids at my other neighborhood. And when we moved in, the first day we moved in, he was playing with neighborhood kids in our yard. And like, that was a really important thing for both of us, mm-hmm. that he have friends and relationships. And then in March, all of that was just taken away. I mean, for good reason, obviously, but,
before we go on, is there a washing machine behind you or air coming out of a vent or?
Oh, it's the air conditioner. Do you want me to go turn it off?
I don't want you to sweat. What did you say? You're in Iowa?
It'll be all right. I'll turn it off.
All right.
I'll be right back.
You're fine.
You stay.
What's the dog's name? My daughter Arden began wearing the Omnipod tubeless insulin pump on February 4th, 2009. That was 5,093 days ago. Or another way to think of it, 1,697 pods ago. At that time, she was 4 years old. Hang out with me for a moment while I tell you more about the Omnipod. Omnipod.com/juicebox. Today, Arden is 18 and still wearing Omnipod. Back then, there was one choice, just one pod. But today, you have a decision to make. Do you want the Omnipod 5? The first and only tubeless automated insulin delivery system to integrate with the Dexcom G6? Because if you do, it's available right now for people with type 1 diabetes ages 2 years and older. The Omnipod 5 is an algorithm-based pump that features smart adjust technology. That means that the Omnipod 5 is adjusting insulin delivery based on your customized target glucose. That's helping you to protect against high and low blood sugars both day and night, automatically. Both the Omnipod 5 and the Omnipod DASH are waterproof. You can wear them while you're playing sports, swimming, in the shower, the bathtub, anywhere really. That kind of freedom coupled with tubeless, a tubeless pump. You understand it's not connected to anything. The controller is not connected to the pod. The pod is not connected to anything. You're wearing it on the body tubelessly. No tubing to get caught on doorknobs or anywhere else that tubing with those other insulin pumps can get caught. Omnipod.com/juicebox. That's where you go to find out more. You may be eligible for a free 30-day trial of the Omnipod DASH. You should check that out too when you get to my link, omnipod.com/juicebox. So if you're looking for an insulin pump that is tubeless, waterproof, and automated, you're looking for the Omnipod 5. If you want to do it on your own and you're not looking for the automation, Omnipod DASH. For full safety, risk information, and free trial terms and conditions, please also visit omnipod.com/juicebox. I should have asked that sooner. Hey, buddy. God save the queen. I'm looking at pictures of corgis online, and they are cute. They're like It's like a fox with a dog face.
Okay. It takes a minute for it to
You're fine.
catch
If you
up.
get hot, let me know.
It's only supposed to be 97 today.
You'll probably be fine then. What's the dog's name?
Retta.
I tried to call to the animal when you went away, but I realized I didn't know the name.
Oh, and I have my headset on too. She'd probably hear you though.
Retta with a D? Retta or Retta?
T.
T.
R-H-E-T-T-A.
R-H. Okay, I got it.
It means Speaker of the House.
Does it really?
I picked her name because Retta means speaker.
Gotcha.
So her official paperwork says Retta, Speaker of the House.
You got paperwork for your dog? That's nice.
She's a AKC certified corgi.
They're I'm looking at the pictures. They're cute. They look like a fox with a dog's face.
Yeah, the booty's the best part.
I can't comment on that because then I get
Just
angry.
Google corgi butt.
Okay, really?
I promise.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm about to do this, and if I see weird dog porn, I'm really gonna be
It's
upset.
not gonna be weird dog porn.
All right, hold
I
on.
promise.
Oh, they have big fat asses.
Yeah, they're fluffy.
Oh, look at
And
that.
they shake them.
Your dog is thick with his like 2 C's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there's a tissue box cover here that's a corgi's ass, and I got to be honest with you, I'm into it. It's funny. All right. Okay. All right. Now hold on a second. So the kid, so the kid's not stressed. He's got diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But it's pandemic height, so we didn't make a doctor's appointment for something that's not like life-threatening,
Mm-hmm.
because anxiety in itself is not always, immediately life-threatening.
Yeah.
And there's a high alarm. Sorry, thought I had my phone on mute.
That's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about
it. So
You don't make an appointment right away, and then what
Right.
happens after that?
So I was pregnant at the time,
Of course.
obviously. And then other things start happening that I, push off as new baby. His emotions are crazy. He was had no self-control. I mean, what 12-year-old does, but even more noticeable than it had been.
Mhm.
We homeschool, so if anything challenged him, it was just a meltdown.
Yeah.
And I attributed that to new baby in the house or new baby coming. And thought this kid needs some counseling, but we're not doing that right now.
Have you seen that kind of behavior as other babies were being born?
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
So it wasn't
And-
unexpected, and it was easy to match up with something you had seen in the past.
Right.
Right.
I mean, all of his symptoms were easy to match up with other things. He's always been a big eater. Eat and eat and eat. And he didn't have excessive thirst, but we were telling him to drink water because we're like, you don't drink enough water. You're saying you're hungry because you need to drink more water.
Mm-hmm.
Let your stomach catch up with what you've eaten. Because he was eating as much as my husband and I, and he was 9.
Okay.
But he's always eaten a lot. Since I could hand him a plate of food, one of the first words he signed when he was little, we did baby sign language, was more. And I mean, it's always been a thing that he just eats and eats and eats.
You teach the kids sign language when they're babies?
Yeah, before they can talk, they can sign sometimes. So milk and more and eat.
Nice.
All done.
I didn't know
Potty.
I had
Just-
no idea.
Yeah.
I've seen monkeys do it. I mean, chimpanzees, I guess. But not,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It helps with, especially right now, my 2-year-old is just starting to string a couple words together, but she could tell me a little bit of what's going on without so much hassle. I don't know. It's harder for her to form words with her mouth than just tap her fingers together to say more.
Okay.
So, going back to Remy, he was eating a ton. He was very moody. He was very skinny, and he's always been very skinny. But I found myself Googling, why are my child's knees so big? Because he was super skinny.
I see what you're saying.
His knees looked swollen because he had no fat on his body.
Elle, can I say something? I think the people listening are going to be mad at me if I don't tell you that the air conditioner wasn't the sound.
Oh, no.
Because I don't mind that the sound is... Well, I do mind the sound. Don't let me lie to you. I hate the sound, but I can deal with it. But I don't want you to, like, be cooking while everyone listening is like, that poor girl is baking in that room, and he's not telling her that it didn't.
No, it's okay. It's 97 outside, but it's 72 or not 92, 72 inside. 72? I think it might be the ceiling fan. Let me get that.
Okay, thanks.
Did that work? Uh-oh. Where'd you go?
I'm listening.
Oh, no. Okay.
It's still there. It's fascinating. It's the microphone, I guess. Because when you walked away from the mic, it stopped. For the computer? As soon as you walked away from the mic, it stopped. Is your phone near your computer?
I don't know where my phone... No.
No?
Not really.
All right. When you hear this back, you're going to be pissed at yourself. See, there it is. It's gone. Wait, it's gone. Now it's back. What happens? And when you're talking, it still happens too. Just say the same word over and over again for a second.
Coffee.
No,
coffee.
It's still there. And then when you move away from the computer. So what happens if you just move your entire body 6 inches from the computer?
Coffee.
No, it's still there. I have no idea what's going on. It's interesting. It's going. What does it sound like? All right, let's play a game.
Oh, dear.
It feels like I want to say almost like a windmill's running behind you, or
a windmill.
Or water.
I mean, the computer fan is going.
Now, God, could that be it?
Is it the computer?
Cover the computer fan 1 second, just so I can tell.
I don't even know where it is.
There's a vent on the side.
Now the dog's making noise.
Don't worry, I'm having a great time, by the way.
I bet. I don't know.
All right. Well, then we're going to have to let it go.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I almost went out and bought a new microphone for this because I knew that there was going to be so much noise in my house. I don't think it's the microphone.
I think it's definitely the computer.
Well, right. But if the headset could work, I would just take it upstairs and be alone in my room.
Oh.
But I can't.
Don't worry about it. What? But you don't think the sound's in that room, though?
I don't know.
All right. It's getting louder. What is that?
Is it the refrigerator? I can't turn my refrigerator off.
Is it the refrigerator?
It might be the refrigerator.
Walk away from the refrigerator. Is the computer portable?
The computer's plugged in because it's so old and crappy that it's going to die if I don't keep it plugged in.
Interesting. It definitely could be the refrigerator.
I can't move the refrigerator. I'm sorry.
You can't? Let's really go over it. Maybe you could. Let's think about it for a second.
And then all my insulin would just sit there and
we just
get
need
warm.
A dolly and an extension cord. And I think we could have this straightened out pretty quickly. Oh, it stopped now. Is the refrigerator not running anymore? All right, there it is. It's back. How often does your refrigerator run for, by the way?
I don't know. It's 97 degrees outside and I turn the air off. Probably more.
Do you want to go turn the air back on, by the way?
No, it's okay. I'll be all right.
All right. All right. I'm not giving up. Elle, I'm not. I won't give up. I would like you to move out of the... Where are you? Is that the Dust Belt or the Rust Belt, or what do they call that there?
Iowa?
Iowa. What belt is Iowa in?
Probably the Bible Belt. I don't know.
Hold on a second.
That's the only one I've heard it referred to as.
I just Googled Iowa belt, but now I'm just looking at belts that...
Go back to corgi butts. They're more
no, we're done with that too.
entertaining.
All right. Okay. So, fascinating thing that you just said like an hour ago. That he was so skinny that you started thinking his knees looked large.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, may I tell you that we used to think that my son's ears were big, but then we realized his head was small and his ears were the regular size.
Yeah, that matches.
And the way we did that was by measuring everyone's ears in the house. Instead of just measuring.
How else would you do it?
Well, I guess measuring his head probably would have been the way to go. But looking back on it now, it is a bit of a faux pas. So we measured everyone's ears, and his ears were the same as everyone else's. And we were like, oh my God, we've always thought you had really big ears. And then we realized like he wears a smaller hat, like he's like a 7 1/4 or something, or 7 1/8 or something like that. And we were like, oh, your ears are the right size. And this happened to you. The legs were getting so skinny that the knees seemed big.
Yeah.
How long do you think this was going on for?
Oh, months. I went back through on my Facebook albums and looked at pictures of him because I organized them by date. And the last picture that I can look at him and go, that's a kid that probably doesn't have diabetes, is March of 2020. And he was diagnosed in August.
March, April, May, June. Oh my gosh, was he okay?
Yeah, he was okay. I really think, and I've talked to his endocrinologist about this, I really think that his activity level kept him alive because that kid runs and runs and runs and does not stop. And when he runs, his blood sugar goes down.
Wow. Okay, so you think he was kind of managing it off himself. Do you think there was any kind of, looking back, any kind of honeymoon whatsoever helping him?
No. I mean, well, I don't know how a honeymoon would work before diagnosis. Because I wasn't giving him insulin, so I don't know how that works.
It would just be if he was getting help and then not getting help from his pancreas, right. And it was kind of jumping back and forth.
I mean, maybe. I don't really know. It's hard to guess that back when he was, just not diagnosed and having all these symptoms, but I don't know what he did that day.
You know the joke where someone calls and says, hello, and you don't know who they are, and you go hello, and they say, hi, my name's Scott. I was calling to find out if your refrigerator's running. And then you go,
still running?
It is. And I go, oh, you should go catch it.
The refrigerator turned off, so it's not the refrigerator.
It's not I'm now fascinated by what's making noise in your house. It's like a ghost adventure.
It's got to be the computer. That's the only thing I can hear.
Turn off the computer and see if I can still hear it. Well, so what?
I could put something under it. Like I could put like a
what do you mean?
Pillow or something under it.
Really? Do you think that would do something?
Maybe it's like rattling too much on the table.
Is it? You have a computer that rattles?
I mean, the fan. Like maybe the fan is just.
I'm worried about all of you people listening now. Now I'm not just worried about Elle. You people have rattling computers?
Do you want me to get a pillow?
I mean, just lift it up off the table real quick and see what happens.
I did.
It did change.
It's the computer.
Oh, it's so much quieter now.
Let me get.
I'm going to need a corgi by the time this is over, Elle.
Everybody needs a corgi. My daughter's stuffed animal.
I can feel my heart rate going down. I don't know what you did, but it's better.
I tilted the computer and put a stuffed animal under it so that it's angled upward.
It's different. It's lighter. So when you lifted it up, it was gone.
It's the computer. Okay, of course it is. See, technology is out to get me. It's like, it's not even malfunctioning. It's just...
I'm going to have a stroke. I haven't felt well the last couple of weeks, and this is not helping me.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. Actually, we should put my medical condition on the podcast so people can help me with it.
You have a medical condition?
All right, hold on. We're going to get back to your kid and the big knees in a second. But here's what happened, right? I feel like I got bit by something. So I'm like, I'm in the lawn, like my my mower has a problem. I'm on the ground fixing my mower. I know, too famous to be fixing my lawnmower. I agree too, but people got to click on the links a little more in the show notes if you want Scott not to have to cut his own lawn. Okay, so
buy me a lawnmower.
Yeah, yes. And by the way, don't buy me a lawnmower. I don't want that, because the last time we joked about something like that, I got this amazing chair I'm sitting in now,
I know,
which I love, but I feel bad about. Okay, so somewhere between my thumb and my forefinger, kind of on the meat of my hand, I get this lump like the next day, and it looks like a bug bite, and I look at it and I think, that's a bug bite, and it's hard, and I touch it, and I'll be fine. I don't care. It was a little itchy. I didn't think much of it. Next day I wake up, there's another bump like that on like a finger on my hand, like my middle finger, if I'm remembering right. And I was like, well, that's weird. I must have got bitten twice. And then by the third day, there was one on my ring finger on my right hand, one on my middle finger, one by my hand. And I started finding one like in between my fingers somewhere else. And I was like, what is happening? And they were super itchy, Elle, like really, really bad. And now is the time where I decide how honest I'm going to be while I'm telling this story. And you
got it everywhere.
I'm going to have to be honest. I guess we could bleep it out later. Don't you think, Elle?
You got it everywhere.
It started bothering me anywhere something touched me kind of lightly, where you'd get that kind of like, like that initial like response from your body. Like you can, like if you touched your arm, you'd be like, oh, I'm touching my arm. I can feel it. So I would get it where anything was brushing me. So my thighs would get itchy. I was wearing shorts. And then one day it was my balls. And, and then one day I scratched them, like just not even thinking, like I was like, oh, that's an itch, scratch it. And then when I scratched them, then I just got this incredible response. And then, it moved, it was very, very, very itchy. And, it also moved around in other places near the balls, but not the balls. And
is it poison ivy, Scott? Do you have poison ivy?
Do you want to hear the story, or do you want to jump to the end? And so
don't know what's
I gotta save this. This is your fault, because your refrigerator noise, your computer noise. I gotta save this episode and tell people that my balls were itchy. And so, as soon as I stop as soon as you stop scratching, it just dissipates and it goes away. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is crazy. We're having this crazy response, like. So now I'm trying to live like not, wearing tighter underwear because I don't want anything to move. Like I'm not touching my hand. And it's not, and I keep thinking it's a bug bite. I'm stronger than a bug bite. I'll be okay.
A bug bite that moves from your hand to your balls.
So that could be the name of the episode too. A bug bite that moves from your hands to your balls.
You said it, not me.
And so I wait 3-4 more days. Now I start getting tired in the afternoons. 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm getting wasted. And the itching's not going away. And I said to my wife, I was like, this is it. So it's what you've been wishing for. I'm dead. It's just happening slow. She goes, go to urgent care. And I say, no. What do I got to go to urgent care for? Then I wake up the next day, and there's a bump on my opposite hand. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to urgent care. So I go to urgent care. I'm sitting in the chairs. And I know what you're thinking. Scott's too famous to have to go to urgent care. But people don't click on the links. If you click on the links a little more, I'll have a guy come to the house. But right now I got to go to urgent care. Okay, so I'm sitting in urgent care. This old man who had a bike accident came in. He was just one skinned body part. It was terrible. But older and just like, he's like, I'm fine. It's like, I love that generation. He's like, it'll be fine. Like, excellent. So I get called back. The lady makes me weigh myself with my shoes on, which I didn't appreciate very much at all. Then I go in the back. And this I don't know, PA maybe comes in, and it's a lady PA. She's like in her late 30s. And she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I got to tell you this. And I tell her, and then I'm showing her my hand. And there's like these hands are like lumps. Now it's not spreading. It's not poison ivy. It's just literally at these points. And I said, and they're okay at the moment. But if I were to touch my business, like it would get very itchy too. And I said, and if you actually itched it, it would like inflame. And then leaving it alone makes it go back again. And she's like, tell me about that. So I started explaining that to her. And then I had to tell her that 2 nights prior, 2 nights prior. I had to spray Flonase on my balls. And she's laughing and I'm laughing. And there's a
Did it work?
It did work, by the way. But that's a scary thing to do because I'm like, is this going to burn or is it going to help? But I was in a situation where I was like, well, worse isn't going to be worse. And so, sorry. So there's a pause. And I said, please don't make me show you my And she goes, I don't need to see them. And I took that as I don't want to see them. But she said, I don't need to. I think if I look like Bradley Cooper, she'd be like, I need to see those, but fair enough. And so like, you know what I mean? She'd be like, well, just let me look just to be sure, Mr. Cooper, you know, and let me sit on a bench. I want to get down on that level. Like with me, she was like, no, it's okay. You're fine. I let me look at your hand. So anyway, so she gives me the steroids. And then my pharmacist messes up writing the prescription on the bottle because you know how hard that could be when you're a pharmacist. Right. And they've got me taking 3 of these tablets twice a day. So I'm supposed to be apparently in the first 3 days take 2 twice a day, but instead I take 3. You know, a few hours later I go to bed, I take 3 more. I'm going to tell you, 4 hours after I took the first time, these lumps on my hand, like you let air out of a tire, they were gone. And I was like, that's amazing. They just disappeared. And then little itchy. Next day, not so bad. My hand didn't itch anymore. And I was like, let me just see if and nothing else itched. Like so the itching had gone away. 3rd day, I get up in the morning. I take these tablets. And I take a shower and I come down to Kelly and I'm like, I'm going to have a heart attack. And she's like, what? I'm like, my heart's racing. I'm sweating in the shower. I'm like, something's like really wrong. And I take these, you know, the pills and I shake them and there's not many left in it. And I'm thinking, but this can't be right because this is supposed to last like a week. So I dump them out on the counter. I start doing my gazintas and I'm counting them and everything. And I'm like significantly short on these pills. So anyway, I go back to the pharmacist and I tell her, you didn't give me enough pills. And then she goes, no, I gave you plenty. And then we realized that she'd written the wrong thing on the thing. And she called the doctor. Doctor's like, is he alive? And I was like, yeah. I was like, he's fine. You know? So anyway, at this point, all the stiffness in my back that I lived with pretty consistently is gone.
Yeah. Steroids will do that.
My back feels great. My bumps are going off my hands. My balls, like I'm 20 years old. You know what I mean? Just terrific. And then the steroids ended. And if I'm being honest with you, I still don't feel great. So this is probably, something really serious. The steroids
I think you had poison ivy.
Really?
I do.
From my lawn? There's no poison ivy in my lawn. Sitting in the grass.
There might be. I don't know.
Poison ivy makes you... Listen, I'm listening to you. You're counting on a dog to protect you with a man with a gun. I don't know if you know anything. So
I personally have never had poison ivy in my life.
What are you giving advice for then?
But everyone in my family will look at it. Well, everyone except my dad. Everyone in my family can look at it and they're covered.
All right. So I did not have poison ivy. I'm telling you for sure.
How do you know?
Because, a doctor looked at it. I looked at it. I know what poison ivy looks like.
They gave you steroids, which is what they would have done if you had poison ivy.
No, I was having like some sort of a systemic reaction to something. Like, it didn't matter wherever I had this, like, no matter where you touch me, I'd get itchy. Like,
but only on your hands and your balls.
Elle, one day I got in the shower and my eyebrows were itchy. When the hot water hit my eyebrows, I had itchy eyebrows.
So I have had poison oak before. And poison sumac. And I don't know how personal you want to get, but you've been talking about your man bits.
Get on your vagina. Go ahead, tell us.
I've had my lady bits get poison something, sumac, I think. And I thought I was going to pass out because I got a steroid and it worked. But it burned.
I don't want to hear about burning. There was no burning for me.
I legit got like tunnel vision and couldn't see, couldn't hear, was very close to passing out, and I was screaming in pain.
From the Vaheen pain. That's what got you.
From the shower after I had taken the steroids.
Oh, really interesting.
Yep.
I'm just telling you, something's not right still. Like, it's been over, like, I've been off the steroids now 3-4 days, and my back's a little stiff again, and I feel a little like, I don't know. I just feel a little off. I don't know.
I mean, if you were on that many steroids, it could make you feel off, I guess, too.
I felt great on the steroids. The steroids.
Well, of course you did.
The steroids.
Everyone around you was probably like, what's his problem?
The steroids made me consider like using like recreational drugs. I was like, is this how people feel? I was like, this is amazing. My back feels fine. I have a little more energy. Everything was good. Just a little sweaty. Like when I normally wouldn't be. Anyway.
You didn't get like super angry and Hulk out on everyone?
They're not steroids like that. They're prednisone. They're not going to make the muscles.
Steroids are steroids.
Steroids suppress your immune system.
Right.
So I probably have like some autoimmune thing.
I was just going to say, but if you have an autoimmune disorder, then they're going to make you go nuts.
Well, no, I mean, like they would give steroids for like RA, right? They would give steroids for all kinds of stuff. I don't know. Anyway, your big need kid, you take him to the hospital eventually? 40 minutes
I did
later.
Eventually take him to the hospital.
Good.
Weighed him, and he had lost 10 pounds, which is a considerable amount.
He was 9 at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So what, I mean, does he has diabetes ever enter your mind, or you just like, he's so messed up, you're taking him to the hospital?
Someone had suggested to me that he might have diabetes, but even looking at like the lists that you Google, I could easily write those off as like, well, of course he, is anxious. There's a global pandemic. Of course he's eating a lot. He's always eaten a lot. He's drinking more water because we're telling him to drink more water.
Right.
All the signs, I could easily point to something else and be like, no, it's not that. Because at the time I did not know that type 1 was an autoimmune disorder. I knew it was sort of hereditary somehow, but I didn't know that it was autoimmune.
Okay.
And after I weighed him, I went to our local drugstore and I bought a test kit with lancets, or maybe I didn't buy lancets. I had to go back for something because I didn't realize it didn't all come together.
But some of it, but not all of it. I gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
I got like a meter and strips and a poker, but I didn't have the lancets to put in the poker. So then we had a super high carb meal at lunch. And 2 hours later, I tested him, and the first one said high, and I was like, go wash your hands. And the second one said 300 something. So, stop it. So the second one said 300 something, and I knew that wasn't good, but I still didn't know that it was for sure diabetes because, ironically enough, he'd had poison ivy the week before and had steroids. Like he'd gotten a shot at a walk-in clinic for steroids, like maybe 2 weeks, somewhere around there.
Well, they probably helped him, kept him a little jacked up. I'm telling you, I've never felt better than I was on those steroids. Meanwhile, I probably have some rare disease now. Like,
probably.
Yeah, I have like hyperemesis gravidarum or something like that.
Did you say hyperemesis?
Is that what it is? Hyperemesis gravidarum? Is that what it is?
That's a pregnancy thing. It's not.
Oh, I just Googled rare disease real quick and it said the first one that I saw.
Oh, well, I had that. So
wait, hold on. Stop. That can't be true.
Yeah, I had hyperemesis with my pregnancies. You can't have it. Sorry.
Hyperemesis refers to intractable vomiting during pregnancy that leads to weight loss and you had that?
Yeah.
Wait, all right. Let's just be clear. First of all, this is the best episode I've ever done.
Secondly, and the worst.
Well, it's definitely the worst. But secondly, I Googled rare diseases while you were telling me about the kid. Yeah. I clicked on a link because it said rare diseases. Then I spun the mouse, like no lie, spun the mouse just down. And then I looked up and I thought, there's two words that sound funny. When I make
hilarious. Let me tell you, it was a blast.
When I make this joke, I'm going to say this because I'll mispronounce it. It'll be fun. The whole thing. I almost went with Muckle-Wells syndrome.
I haven't heard of that one.
But instead,
I probably have it too.
But instead I said hyperemesis. What is this? Hyper what?
Hyperemesis.
Hyperemesis gravidarum. And you said, I had that.
Yep.
Holy hell, that's crazy. You should only have one thought in your head right now.
I'm never getting pregnant again.
What is Muckle-Wells syndrome?
Oh,
that's the only thing you should be wondering right now. It's a form of cryoperin-associated periodic syndrome that is caused by a mutation in the CIAS1 gene and the increased activity of protein cryoprin in the body. This leads to inflammatory damage throughout the body, as well as several other symptoms, including a possibility of amyloidosis. This is probably going to end up being what I have.
Well, I don't think I had that. I don't know what any of that means, but
no one knows what it means. It's a rare genomics institute. I can't believe.
What does it do?
I just told you what it says.
How do you know if you have it?
How's it diagnosed? Blood tests, degree of inflammation in the body.
Inflammation. Got it.
So, God, a patient may also undergo a cerebral spinal fluid analysis, an audiogram, a kidney biopsy, a urine protein test. This is going to be so weird if somebody ends up having this that I know. Plus, I got to start picking lottery numbers if that happens, because I've never put any episodes. I can't believe you had the other thing.
Me neither.
All right. Okay. All right.
It was not fun.
Jesus. All right. So you buy the kid a meter, you test his blood sugar. The blood sugar's high. He's in the hospital. What do they do in the hospital for him?
Well, I tried to get him to go to the hospital, but I didn't know how to proceed after finding out that he had high blood sugar. I didn't know, is this an emergency room?
I see.
So I called. Well, I talked to one of my friends, and she has a friend who has a kid with type 1, and they recommended an endocrinologist. So I tried calling him, but he works for the hospital, the University of Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I called them, and they wanted to make an appointment for him in a month. Oh. I was like, I don't know if that's...
We've already waited 5 months, so...
Yeah, right? Yeah. I was like, I don't think I can wait a month. And so they put me on hold for 45 minutes. And then they hung up on me. And that, again, that is my life. Surprised that we have not been disconnected while I'm talking to you so far. So I called back and nobody answered. I was like, well, that's weird. Why would a hospital not answer?
Yeah.
So then I drove him to a semi-local walk-in clinic. And I had a 2-month-old at the time. So I took her with me in a global pandemic because I'm nursing her at the time. And I'm thinking, we're probably going to stay overnight here. I need my baby so she can eat. They did not like that, but they didn't send me away or anything. They immediately admitted him into the emergency room. And while we were we were walking into the emergency room, we see the ambulance pulling out. And we are rural Iowa.
Right.
There's only one ambulance. So they admitted him, started him on a drip of some sort. I don't know what's going on at this point because I'm just I know what diabetes is, but not a lot.
Right.
And so 3 hours later, they decide they're going to transfer him. But they were calling around to multiple hospitals, and all the hospitals are saying, we are not admitting any patients right now. And I'm like, is this because of COVID? Is this because he's he needs a peds unit? What, why? And somebody said there was a tornado in the city that you live in. I'm like, nope, I don't think so. I would have known about that. I was just there, and my husband and my other children are still there. So they called to a hospital in Des Moines, and Des Moines said no. They called Iowa City. Iowa City said no. They called Ottumwa, where I live. They said no. And finally, someone in Iowa City said, fine, we'll take him. But the baby can't come. So I sent him in an ambulance, and I'm sitting here looking at my baby and my oldest and literally deciding, like, who do I go with? Which was probably the hardest moment in the whole thing. I think it's the only time I actually cried.
No.
But I have an acquaintance friend who's a nurse at the hospital that I was at, and she said, let your husband go. Because if you go and you're with the baby, and if they don't let the baby in, you're going to have to like stay in a hotel, and you're going to miss a lot, because when the doctor's there, he's there. Like, you're not going to have him on your schedule. You need to be on his, and the baby doesn't care.
Right.
So my husband drove up separately from the ambulance, and I drove back home to pick up the other kids and stay home with the baby and the other two. And when he got to Iowa City, it was dark, like black, because there were no street lights, there were no stoplights, there was no electricity anywhere.
Because of the tornado.
It wasn't a tornado.
What was it?
It was a derecho.
Oh, wait, hold on. What?
A derecho.
Is that a disease I might have? Hold on.
It's basically a land hurricane. With like, I think it was 80-mile-an-hour winds, straight winds. So I'm thankful that I didn't send him in that first ambulance, because he probably would have been right in the middle of it.
How often does that happen?
Never.
A derecho is a widespread, long-lived, straight-line windstorm that is associated with fast-moving groups of severe thunderstorms. Wow. Can cause hurricane-force winds, tornadoes, heavy rains, and flash floods.
Yeah.
And, not for nothing, you live in the same town as Radar O'Reilly from MASH.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you know
Who
the man
recently passed away?
Well, he didn't recently pass away. The man that they based his character on recently passed away. Yes. Yeah. Donald Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer was born in 1929. He died in 2022. He was the inspiration for a character on MASH called Radar O'Reilly, who was from Ottumwa, Iowa.
Yep.
You learned so much on this podcast. That's all. And the thing about the windy thing, the derecho or something like that. Jesus. Again, why do you live there? What
Well, a few reasons. But
is it for the methyl?
Did you look that up too?
No, that I just know.
No. Former meth capital of the world.
No, it isn't. Right? No. You're making that up. You're being funny.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Sorry. Damn it. I didn't want to make fun of that. Okay. So
Queen of Meth is from Ottumwa.
The Queen of Meth is from Ottumwa?
Yeah.
That's
what she calls herself. It's Tom Arnold's sister.
All right. Oh, no kidding. In that they made that documentary about her. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess if you're going to be famous for something, that'd be okay. Queen of Meth made $200,000 a week. Mm-hmm. Meet Tom Arnold's sister. Tom Arnold, the man who used to be married to Roseanne Barr.
Yes. They used to live in Eldon, which is, I think it's Eldon. Maybe it was Agency, which is like 5 miles outside of Ottumwa.
Amazing.
10 maybe.
He's very good friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I believe.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. These things I know.
That's odd.
Yeah. You need to know any other odd things, or
I mean,
let me know.
Everything about Tom Arnold is probably a little odd.
Yeah, a lot of weird energy. That's for sure. All right. Okay. So this poor kid almost gets blown away, but has diabetes instead. And so you ended up sending your husband with him to the hospital. Is that right?
He followed him to the hospital, but yeah.
Okay. All right. And so you stayed, did you go home with the babies? Like, cause it's all COVID-y. So what do you do?
Mm-hmm. I went home and stayed there, and picked up my other two from their grandparents' house, and we stayed home, and I learned a lot via Zoom.
Wow. How long was he in the hospital?
I think it was I've gone back and forth. I cannot remember if it was like 3 days, 2 nights.
All right.
And
so
he got there at night.
So they didn't rush him out, and they needed to bring his blood sugar down and do that slowly because he was really in trouble, I imagine.
Yeah. By the time I got off hold, when they hung up on me, we tested him again and it was 500 something.
Wow. Okay. Well, do you know what his A1C was when they checked?
15.1.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. Insulin pens.
Pens. Yeah.
Pens. And any talk of glucose monitors? Do you have them now?
So he had to prove to his insurance that he had diabetes by testing 3 times or more a day for a month. And then he got a Dexcom.
Okay. So they didn't take the diagnosis of the hospital seriously?
I don't understand insurance. I don't understand how some person in a cubicle gets to decide medical care. Isn't that practicing without a license?
Yeah, it's a little weird. How did you find the overall education?
Excellent.
Good.
Honestly. Nurse Lori, shout out. I asked her permission to say her name.
Did you ask her permission to say her name in the middle of an episode where someone said balls 16 times?
I didn't specify, but
yeah, well,
I think
she's going to be proud when she hears this.
She called me like every other day for 2 weeks, and then it was like every 3 days for another 2 weeks, and then it was once a week, and then it was, and she, I don't know, she's excellent.
That's wonderful. That's very
She's
nice.
just absolutely excellent. She listened to me talk about things that weren't even diabetes related, just my own anxiety.
Elle, I would listen to you talk forever, so you know.
Well, I could probably talk forever. So.
Yeah, you and your inflamed vagina and those 4 kids and all the other stuff. There's plenty here to go into. I don't even know we need to talk about this diabetes, but just because people tuned in. How's the kid doing? Just a couple years.
He is doing really well.
Yeah.
But his A1C has not been over 5.9 since diagnosis.
Wow, good for you. How are you accomplishing that?
You and Lori.
There's no reason.
You and Lori.
There's no reason to mention Lori, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, Nurse Lori can't call me every day, but I can listen to the podcast every day. Okay. She has other people to go save.
Yeah, she's super lady. She's calling everybody on the phone. Do you ever think about that when she's talking to you? You're like, oh, I'm probably not the only person she does this with.
Yes, I do think about that. And I was trying to be very respectful of her time. But again, I can talk forever. So sorry, Lori.
So you get a CGM a month in. Are you still doing pens? Are you injecting?
He did pens until it was about 6 months. So I think it was March of 21.
You go to a pump then after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Medtronic?
No,
don't say it like that. They're sponsors of the program.
Oh, are they?
InPen from Medtronic Diabetes.
Well, we tried to get the InPen, but evidently the week, again, this is my luck. The week that we got it approved, our insurance decided that they weren't covering it anymore. Or there was a grant or something fell through. It was approved, but then we couldn't get it without spending $800 to get the device.
Yeah, that definitely shouldn't be. I think you can get it. Like, let me just say this. I think there's, you have to check. There's fine print and stuff, but I think mostly it's like $35 for people. So definitely don't pay $800.
Right. Well, I didn't because I knew we wanted to get on a pump.
Okay.
And I didn't see the sense in going through the hassle of getting on something that we weren't going to permanently use.
Sure.
Not that it's a bad thing. It sounds amazing, but
yeah, InPen's terrific. No, it's a great insulin pen. But yeah, I understand you not wanting to do that. So, okay, so what did Lori tell you that helped you keep an A1C under 6 with a 9-year-old?
Pre-bolus. Check as often as you feel like checking. They did go over. So I don't know if this sounds a little braggy, but so in 2019, my husband and I did keto, which meant that I already knew how to count carbs pretty well. And so they gave Lori and there are other members of the team, but I think, sorry, other people that I didn't ask permission to say names of. I usually defer to Lori just because we got along well. She gave like resources where I could look up carbs of things quickly, and I could like put in a recipe and it'll tell me the carbs in it. And there was a big booklet that we did second day education on. So that was like sick day and stuff like that. But the University of Iowa they are with it.
Yeah.
They've got it going on.
There was talk for a while of me giving a talk at the University of Iowa. And then I think
let me know.
COVID happened, and then people stopped talking about it. So, but
that's sad.
Yeah, apparently there's a large type 1 population in the student body at that school.
Oh, I didn't.
That
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's crazy too. Okay, so pre-bolus, count your carbs, do the right thing, pay attention to the blood sugars. Sounds like what Lori was telling you. And then you did it. Like, but what made you, like so many people don't like follow through. Like what made you follow through?
I'm a rule follower.
Okay.
I just am. Oh gosh. And I want to make sure that I only share my experience. So this is going to be kind of complicated to talk about. Both of my husband's, oh goodness, dog, stop.
He loves you.
Both of my, Greta.
Does the dog have
sit.
to pee?
She's chasing the cat again.
Oh.
I put her outside, but then she saw my children drive away and she was crying outside. So I figured that would be noisy enough, but yeah, you got it. He's fine. So both of my husband's parents have type 1. And the education that they have received is not the standard that the University of Iowa gives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say that much.
Okay.
So seeing and hearing the information that they received in action makes me sad and angry at any doctor that thinks they know something and is giving advice when they don't really know what they're talking about.
Okay. How, both of his parents have type 1?
Yeah.
For a long
time? And I still missed it. Yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't see it. He didn't know either?
Mm-mm.
Any other autoimmune in the family?
Oh my gosh. So many. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis. She has hypothyroidism. She has bipolar disorder, which I know it's not an autoimmune, but I've heard you say that there's a connection. And then my husband's mom has type 1. She's had type 1 for 50 years. Mm-hmm. His dad has had type 1 since the 90s, early 90s. I think it was right before, no, it wouldn't have been early 90s. It was right before I met him. So I'm going to say he was 45-ish.
Okay.
But he was diagnosed as type 2 until he got cancer. And then they did a C-peptide when he had cancer. Mm-hmm. And found out, it's type 1.
Jeez. What kind of cancer?
So, you'll have to Google it. It's EHE. And it's like 13 syllables.
EHE. All right. And
I'm surprised you didn't say that one earlier when you searched
when I was
rare
randomly
diseases.
picking weird. Wow, I'm not going to be able to say that.
Yeah. If you tell me the first syllable, I can probably tell it.
Epithelioid?
Epithelioid hemangioma. Is that right? Did I get them all?
Hemangioma dotathemia. Wow.
Yeah. So.
HEMANGIOENDOTHELIOMA is the second word. That's crazy. Rare cancer that grows from the cells that make up the blood vessels. Most commonly seen in the liver, lungs, and bones. Okay. And did he beat that?
It's not really curable.
Oh, okay.
He's had some things removed from his liver and his lungs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And so there's, again, I say, I don't know what you autoimmune people do, like what signal you put out into the world to attract other autoimmune people. But like, it's fascinating that it's on both sides of the family like that.
I didn't even list all of them, but yeah.
Keep going. What do you got more?
My husband's mom has hypothyroidism. And then my husband's dad. So my husband's aunt also has type 1, but they call her type 2. And I don't know how to tell someone, I think you need to be tested for like, she's, almost 70 years old now, and she's been treating it this way, but I'm convinced it's type 1. And his other sister has MS. And I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Wow.
Both of my husband's grandparents had pancreatic cancer, so I don't know if that's related.
This is more information than anybody should say probably, but everyone's passed on. So my friend Mike, his mom had pancreatic cancer.
I remember you saying that in a podcast.
Interesting. All right. Well, you should probably do some math.
No, I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I don't think that would help the situation any.
No, I don't think it would help anything, but you're in one of those rare situations. I'm not certain it would hurt anything either. I'm so sorry. That's really terrible. At least get yourself a new computer, please. So obviously I said a ton of stuff that was very helpful to the kid, and he's doing great now. Probably going to name your next corgi after me or something like that. And
I considered it.
Did you? It's too late
did.
now. You didn't do it though, so it doesn't really
count. I didn't.
No.
She's a girl.
And it's homage. You pay homage where you pay homage. That's all. Is it homage or how do you say it?
I don't know.
Some people say homage, and I'm 100%.
I don't say that.
I'm 100% sure that's not right.
I'm probably more likely to pronounce the O long. I don't know.
All right.
Homage.
All right. So is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
The exercise thing, I did want to pick your brain on.
Okay. But let me ask this question first. How many things did we talk about that you didn't want to talk about? All of them?
Well, testicles weren't on the list in my mind.
No, I didn't think they were either. But then the computer was loud, and I felt obligated to give back. You know what I mean? I really did. I was like, I need to put something in here. I don't want people to be like, oh my God, it was a refrigerator, but it wasn't. It was a computer. There's only so much that you can take. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So wait, you want to talk about exercise and insulin or something? Go ahead. What's your question?
So he has been diagnosed for almost 2 years. I don't think he had a honeymoon at all. If he did, he exhausted it before diagnosis.
Yeah, I think you used it up before you were diagnosed, but go ahead.
So, I'll give an example. In May, he went with his buddy for a birthday party. They went to the largest skate park in the United States, which is in Des Moines. It's about an hour away from where his buddy lives. So they were in the car for a little bit, but he was riding about 70 before we left. Okay. He didn't really go up at all for the car ride. And then we had Chick-fil-A, which is, I'm guessing he had 120 carbs, but then he had a full sugar soda too. So I'm going to say 150 carbs-ish. I did not give him any insulin for that. I didn't even have his pump on him when he was eating that meal because I did not want any auto boluses. He's on T-Slim.
Yeah.
So we took the pump off for the skate park because I do not want a busted pump. And I didn't really want him getting insulin while he was skating. And he still had to treat 3 lows.
So just like skateboarding? How long did he do it for?
He was on a scooter for about 3 hours.
That sounds like a long time.
It was a long time.
Yeah. But
this kid drops like a rock with any exercise.
Right.
And I just, I've heard you talk about bolusing Arden during a softball game. And I'm like, my kid would not be able to play at all.
So I think it's I mean, there's different impacts, right? So softball's not scootering. Scootering for 3 hours is a lot of effort. I don't know if you've ever watched a softball game. There's a ton of standing around. So, there's standing around. You could strike out 3 times and never even have to run to first base. You know what I mean? So there's standing around. There's the heat. There's then dehydration that comes along with it. So if you're at the skate park, it's indoor or outdoor?
It was outdoor.
Hot or not hot?
I would say it's warm. It wasn't cold by any means, but I wouldn't say it's 97 degrees like today or anything.
Ton of effort for 3 hours straight, a lot of aerobic exercise. I can see, I mean, you described, I mean, I could see that not needing insulin for certain. That makes sense. Was there a big bolus prior to the skate park?
I mean, he had breakfast, but that was probably 4 or 5 hours before the park.
You actually got that, but you had like a 70 something on your way to the skate park.
Yeah.
So you obviously you killed breakfast really well, and then
he did that by himself.
Well, that's impressive. And then he went into the right into the activity. So you popped the pump off as you started at the skate park.
We took the pump off before he ate Chick-fil-A.
After this, wait, hold on. The Chick-fil-A was before skating?
Yeah. Before skating with no insulin.
Sense. But wait, so the Chick-fil-A was without insulin before the activity.
Mm-hmm.
So then it sounds like I mean, the best I could guess is that maybe he over-bolused the breakfast.
But hours before?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
That it's not just this time either. I mean,
it happens every time you go.
It's every time he exercises, like aerobic activity.
Wow.
And I don't know. He went to camp last week, and they reduced his basal, I think, by 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he ran higher at camp than he does at home, but I don't know how to replicate that at home to get a good idea of how much to give him.
Right.
Because what ends up happening, so we went to a 4th of July party, the 3rd, and we had it in that camp profile because I wanted to see like it being the pump. I wanted to see if it would work for us at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't. Like, he played volleyball after he had a meal, and we did bolus for the meal, but it was a reduced bolus. He had his basal reduced for hours beforehand, and he played volleyball, and he had to sit out the last round because I just couldn't get it to come up. But then when we got home, so like 3 hours later, he skyrocketed.
Well, I have to admit, from your explanation, I don't know exactly what to say. I mean, if you telling me that you ate before the skate park is the skate park that throws me off. Like, I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me is that breakfast somehow impacted it. Because otherwise, I mean, adrenaline, was he excited to go to the skate park?
I mean,
something he does, right? It's not like some great treat or something like that.
Well, it was a birthday party. We don't often go to Des Moines to go to the skate park. He plays on his scooter weekly. It's not
right. And when he does it at home, he doesn't drop like that?
Oh, he does.
He does.
He drops any time, any exercise. Like, he has a Wednesday night activity that he does during the school year. And I have his pump and exercise mode, which, raises the target, but still gives mini boluses, which I hate. We reduce his basal 3 hours beforehand. And then we have a low carb meal so that he doesn't take insulin for it.
Right.
And it sometimes works.
That's interesting.
The problem with that is that it's so super spontaneous and unpredictable that I don't know when he's going to be sitting and be playing. But that's a whole other thing.
So I don't know anything about this. I'm just like kicking around. Like, I don't know. Could that be not adrenal though, right? I don't know if that's for a person with type 1 where like you can get like hypoglycemic from like adrenal fatigue, but I don't know if that's to do with diabetes or if that's just a thing people experience aside of it sometimes. I don't know. But I mean, it does sound, what I can say is it sounds like egregious. It sounds crazy.
It like feels crazy.
Hours and hours without insulin. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm imagining a lot of activity with the scootering, obviously, but
he gets the same result. Like he went to a place where he played ultimate frisbee, and he did have some insulin at lunchtime, but it was like 30% of what I would have given him at home. And then it was still 2 hours before he played, and it's ultimate frisbee. Like he's
running around and sprinting all over the place.
Right. But I don't want to call it a bad name. His pump gave him an autobolus.
Okay.
Of 0.118, which I know for a lot of people is a lot, but for my kid is
not a lot.
Nothing.
Right.
Like he uses like 75 units daily. So 0.118 dropped him from 210 with fruit snacks to 90 straight down in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that so doesn't sound like that the insulin could do that. But it's like I feel like there has to be something else at play. Have you asked the doctor about it?
I've asked my CDE nurse, Lori.
And what did Lori say?
And she said it's just a Remy thing.
Something specific to him.
Yeah. And I was in that conversation asking about different types of insulin, but I don't know as they would be any different.
Like switching a brand of insulin?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. It's out of the ordinary enough that I don't know what to say.
I figured I'd give it a shot because I don't know too many people that manage diabetes.
Yeah, right. Do you try, have you ever tried giving him like a protein before?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Chick-fil-A was a chicken sandwich, but yeah, we use peanut butter. We like the meals that we give him before his Wednesday night things are very heavy protein, very heavy fat.
Okay.
And 15 carbs or less.
And in a normal situation, that meal would cause you'd need to really bolus for.
Yeah.
But not when he's active.
Yeah. If he's sitting, he needs insulin. Like
right.
He's got growth hormones going crazy. He's grown 6 inches since diagnosis. And like he definitely needs insulin. It's not that his basal's too high or that his ratios are off. It's the activity specifically.
Have you tried having a conversation in the Facebook group about it?
I think so, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah. Well, if you had an answer, you would remember the answer.
A lot of times I hold back because I feel like I over-explain everything, especially in a group like that where I try to condense and then they need more information. So I end up like, well, let me start back when I was born.
Yeah, that's not helpful. What about like runner's goo and stuff like that? Have you ever tried that?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, like that. Like it's just like paste that runners use to like keep their blood sugar up while they're running. Like I'm wondering if it's. I mean, I don't want him to be eating something constantly, but I'm trying to decide. Like, has it ever been a real problem for you, or are you able to stay on top of it for the most part?
I've never had to use his Gvoke, but I've had it out before.
He's dropping so fast.
Yeah. And honestly, I think those situations were because he had insulin on board, and he went and jumped on the trampoline. Like, well, that's obviously not going to work well.
In these good. I'm sorry.
I feel like he's missing out on the activities that he wants to participate in because he's sitting on the side drinking juice. And that's my biggest concern, I guess, for a 12-year-old boy to, have to be like, sorry, I have to sit down and drink a juice box. And his friends don't really understand that. And then he doesn't get invited next time.
Mm-hmm. What happens if he just like drinks Gatorade throughout the whole process?
That's what he was doing at the skate park, but he still had to have, I think, 2 packs of fruit snacks and a juice.
And it had been hours since he had insulin.
At least 5.
And there was food in there.
Yeah, a whole meal. Like 150 carbs or more. I don't even know. I didn't count it. It was Chick-fil-A fries, a chicken sandwich, and a Dr. Pepper.
And you didn't bolus for it?
Didn't bolus at all.
And then he still tried to get low later.
Didn't even have basal on. Like, I turned his pump we have a 0 profile set up so that it doesn't beep all the time. But it still doesn't give him any insulin.
I wonder if away from this activity, he needs so much insulin that even though you haven't had it for a few hours, once you add the activity, it just gets sped up so much.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, like, what's his basal rate? Like, forget this activity a second. For like in a normal situation, what's his basal rate an hour?
Like 1.3-ish.
And what's he weigh?
135.
Doesn't seem crazy. And, but it does seem a little heavy, but it doesn't seem crazy. I don't mean heavy like it's wrong. I mean, like there's a need there. So
his basal is cranked at night, not cranked, but higher at night because of growth hormones and inactivity. And then like during the school year, we have a higher basal rate during school hours because we sit more.
Yeah.
But then in like from about lunch, so about 11 until I'm going to say 8:30, it's less. So I don't exactly. Oh wait, I have a picture. I forgot I took pictures before I sent them to camp in case they changed. Let me find. Okay, so midnight until 11 a.m. is 1.47 an hour. And then 11 until 5 is 1.37. And then 5 until 8:30 is 1.5. And then 8:30 until, I guess it is, right? 10 is 1.71. And then I think it goes back. It's a little less between 10 and midnight just because I don't usually give too many corrections. And honestly, that's the only reason I have it changed. Is because if I give. This
is working for you. Like keeps his A1C in the 5s, but you're having lows around activity, but not lows at other times.
Right.
I mean, I do wonder after you go over those numbers, like what would happen if, forget like a couple of hours prior to activity, but what if like you made a concerted effort one day, you know, like we're going to go to the skate park at 4:00 in the afternoon. Like what if you got up in the morning and cut the basal weight down?
Like first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Like to 0.9 and let it be like that for like 6, 7, 8, 9 hours before he went there. I'd be interested to see what would happen after that. I
am willing to do that. My concern is, what about the 9 hours leading up to it?
What would happen, do you think, if you did that?
I think he would be in the 200s the whole day. And then, like, if I don't correct, he'll stay in the 200s. But if I correct it, then I'll have insulin on board.
Yeah, then I would actually have to add to that. I guess you want to go with a lower carb lifestyle that day just to keep boluses down, just to see what would happen. Because what I'm trying to get at is, I wonder if you need these heavy boluses because he's a 12-year-old kid. And then there's so much insulin happening. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like he's two people. It sounds like he's right? He's a sitting around kid.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's an Olympic skater kid.
Right.
Right.
But how do I know which one he's going to be that day?
Well, does it always happen with a skate park?
It always happens with any activity. But 12-year-old boys are not known for planning out their activity.
Right. No. Well, that I don't have an answer to. But what it sounds like to me is that you're managing one body style, one impact, And then suddenly you're switching to a significantly different impact.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Right.
I just don't have a whole day to prepare for it, because if his buddy comes over and wants to go ride scooters, I can't be like, come back tomorrow.
When we'll plan this all out. So then there has to be some sort of a level of carbs that you can put in him that'll hold this up, because it sounds like you got close. You did the Chick-fil-A and then it needed a couple of packets of gummies, and it's so
150 carbs.
I know it's a lot. I don't know how to. I'm trust me. I'm not saying it makes a lot of sense. I'm just saying that, like, talking it through. This is what I'm imagining from your conversation.
Right.
So I'm not sure. It does sound like it sucks, though. I'm sorry for that.
I just hate that he misses out on things. That's the only.
I mean, is he really missing out, or does he have to stop once in a while?
His friends have stopped inviting him places.
Because he's drinking juice.
Because he has to sit, and they don't want to wait on him.
How long does he have to sit till he's okay?
It just depends on what they were doing and how long. Like, if we're dealing with an insulin on board situation, or like the day at the skate park, we knew that was coming a month ahead and we prepared for it. So he just ate some gummies and kept skating.
Right.
And if I'm there, like, I can tell him, hey, you're 120, eat some fruit snacks and it'll, bring you back up. But if I'm not there and he's just hanging out with his friends, like at the playground or whatever, I'm not there to tell him eat fruit snacks when he's 120. And his pump doesn't alert him when he's 120, and Dexcom doesn't even go that high.
So he doesn't find out till he's lower, and then it's too late.
Right.
Then he's got to eat and wait and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That sucks. Okay. Have you tried hiring Jenny for a couple of minutes to see what she says about it?
I would love to, but I can't afford a new computer.
She'll talk to you on the phone.
What I mean is, I think Jenny's probably out of my price range.
Can I be honest with you? This is going to sound crazy. I have no idea how much Jenny charges. I honestly don't know. But, I mean, it's a big deal and it's got a big impact on him. So maybe
I know it is.
This Lori's no help. I'm just kidding.
I've still got to feed the kids too.
Well, not really. I mean, there's 4 of them.
Right.
They can eat the dog if something goes sideways. All right. Elle, I got to go. I actually have a call. So
hopefully it goes better than this one.
Well, I mean, this guy's going to know how to use his computer, which is a step in the right direction. I honestly did appreciate this conversation a lot. I thank you very much. I actually have to give them a shout out. I have a call with the people from Gvoke in a little bit, and I have to. Well,
then they definitely know what they're talking about.
I have to go be an adult. So, okay. I really appreciate this. Will you hold on 1 second for me?
Yep.
Thanks. I want to thank Elle for coming on the show. And in a second, I'm going to tell you all the different ideas I had for naming this episode. Anyway, thank you, Elle. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this episode. BetterHelp.com/Juicebox saves you 10% off your first month of therapy. And thank you, Omnipod. Get your Omnipod DASH or Omnipod 5 at my link, omnipod.com/Juicebox. That's pretty much it. I want to thank you so much for listening. Remind you that there are links in the show notes of your podcast player and at juiceboxpodcast.com to all of the sponsors. When you click on the links, you're supporting the show. Don't forget to go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox, fill out the survey. And of course, you can get 35% off at cozyearth.com with the offer code JUICEBOX. Now, I recorded this for myself as soon